What do you think when I say the opera? What do you think?
I truly have mixed feelings. The overall sentiment is that opera is for cultured people, and I'd like to think of myself as a cultured person. But so the reality is, I've been to an opera once, and not likely that I would go back again, but wanted to go to understand and experience the opera. Very serendipitously, as it turned out, one of our MBA learners was the director of marketing for Pacific Opera. Um, and he and I were talking, and he would come up to me in class, and he wasn't, I wouldn't call it brown nosing, but oh, what a wonderful voice I had. It'd be terrific for opera and all this stuff. You have to come down and see. So it's important to recognize if I'm going to go out in an evening, I'm always aware of cost, and he was going to comp some tickets. So anything for free is worth something for me trying. And as it turned out, he had several tickets, and my daughter was in town. And she must have been about 20 or 21. This would be an interesting evening to go out with myself, my wife, and my daughter, and it wasn't going to cost us anything. So that's how it ended up going. So I contacted Patrick, I think is who it was, and he very nicely said, "Here are the tickets. See you at the opera." It was. I was more excited about it because I was going out with my wife and my daughter, which was a treat for me. And so we attached it to dinner beforehand, and we went out for dinner, which I really like to do. And they were going to the opera more because I was suggesting it, and it was going to be a night out kind of thing, right? And so, no, we didn't dress up for it. We really didn't know what to expect when we got there. So we just appeared after we went for dinner. We had a nice dinner, and then we, picked up our tickets, walked in very importantly, and sat down in our seats. The first thing that we noted, and the first thing that my daughter noted, a lot of old people around here, Dad. So it wasn't a young crowd. A lot of gray hair. Gray's okay. Yeah. So when I go out, I like to be around an eclectic version of people. So lots of young people and lots of, well, just a range of people. So that wasn't there as things began, as we sat in our seats. I was excited about what it was going to be. I was also, because it was something that I wanted my daughter and wife to enjoy. I had this sense of, gee, I hope they like it, right? And that was kind of a sentiment that I had at the time, and I think I was probably saying stuff about why this was so cool and some bullshit stuff that I would say to my daughter, right?
So were you during the show looking over to see their reactions?
Yes, I am. I'm looking, and it became very apparent very quickly that my idea was not going to work
Why is that?
because they got very bored very quickly. And in fact, so part of the issue with opera is that it's quite long. The event ran probably 3 hours or so, or more, with an intermission. And at intermission, they asked could they leave. And first I was a little bit upset because I felt, well, Patrick had given us his free tickets. It's not right to be doing this. And then afterwards I said, well, obviously, you go ahead. And I stuck it out on my own. So I finished the opera with 2 empty seats beside me.
So what made you decide to stay? Was it just politeness for Patrick? To Patrick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I just my personality, so typically if I start something, I commit to finishing it. And I said I was going to do this. And maybe there was some deep hope that it would get better. And it didn't.
So what about it? Wasn't it why wasn't it an enjoyable theater experience?
Right. I guess if I'm going to the theater, I would like to be, I'd like to be amazed visually, orally. The music the singing, it was clear that the singers were excellent singers. Could not understand what they were saying. And regardless, in opera and modern opera, they have the subtitles underneath that allow people to kind of follow. But these are old stories written, I don't know, and I don't even remember the opera. It was a famous, Puccini or something opera, but I can't remember. And so the story was fairly typical of that era, I suppose, where someone's someone's in love, someone gets heartbroken, someone kills somebody else, and they live happily ever after, or not. I don't know. It was boring. Boring. So I was looking for were the sets going to be fantastic because I'd heard that about opera that that would be tremendous. The background to it all, and it wasn't that terrific either. I mean, I think and it's probably an element of opera, and I don't remember if it was this one, but if there was an issue where there was fire, there would be these crepe paper things flowing up in the air, and that was meant to be fire. It was, as my daughter said, pretty old school, Dad.
So what else? Is there anything else your daughter or wife said that you remember?
I think what they said, they didn't understand it. It dragged on. The music was of a type, so it was very much the same. You can make a comment about modern music, but so it did not catch them. It did not resonate with them at all.
Do you go to other cultural events? Do you go to theater or dance or music in general?
Yes, not a lot. So when it comes to music, we'll go to artists that I know. The venues, I mean, the venue was great. This was in, I forget what the name of the theater is, but it was a good theater. I enjoy rock concerts, but I'm not in the big halls anymore. So in the smaller, more intimate halls and jazz stuff. So go to that, and in the end, it's about the music. Does the music resonate with me? Theater, we go more to musical theater than just a straight theater. And yeah, that's the answer to that.
So you do enjoy musical theater?
I do, yes.
So can you just talk about what was the difference the last time you went to musical theater? Can you remember that last time and talk? What was that experience like?
I guess I'm not a very sophisticated theater goer because for me it was recalling music from my childhood or from some long ago. So Broadway musical, that would be something that I would enjoy because it recalls a time of my life when when I was young and the world was not the world, right? It was easy, so it brought back strong, fond memories of childhood and the music that would be playing in the house in the background from my parents. So that's kind of what I like about it.
Could we just go back to when you said that you wanted this to be a good experience for your wife and daughter?
Mm-hmm.
Could you delve into that a little bit? What made you want that?
I didn't know this was going to be psychoanalysis. What made me want my daughter? I don't know. It's an excellent question. Other than my family, and nice to do things with people that I love, and nice that they would enjoy something that I get. You know what? Now that for me, I am in my heart, and it is awful, an educator. So to educate them, and for them, the hope was we would all find something new that many people obviously are nuts about, and think is terrific, that we would all learn something new and we might like it. Turned out I was wrong. I think the notion of opera, which is all singing, so now I'm comparing opera to Broadway musicals, which I do like. There's a combination of singing and speaking that unfolds the plot. So I guess I want something that's faster paced because to unfold a plot through singing, the words take a long time to come out. And doesn't move quickly enough for me. So opera would have to change, and I'm not sure there's anything, for me that would happen. The language issue, I've heard some kind of opera stuff where they speaking in English, and I still don't understand what they're saying. So I think the nature of the music and the type of music, further reflection, where for me, where I go to live stuff is to not, and interesting to hear me say this, not to be exposed to new stuff, but to hear stuff that I already know about, but in a live forum.
Mm.
That would be good.
Do you have friends who go to opera?
No.
Okay.
My sister-in-law, my wife's sister, her husband was a gigantic opera buff, and every time we went into their home, and a stereo, an audiophile, and so he had the biggest, best, greatest equipment, and it would be booming, and there would be people shrieking in the house, and the shrieking was the opera singing, and so, and they like classical music. I will enjoy classical music from time to time, but again, I'm not, uh, I'm not sophisticated enough to really appreciate it. I mean, I enjoy music and I like music, but more, popular and jazz stuff. So it's heavy music for me. It doesn't it you know maybe because I don't understand it well enough, it simply doesn't resonate with me, and I don't really have the motivation to try to understand it in a way that I'm sure once you do, you will understand the complexities of it and be more impressed by it. I was impressed by the vocal ranges of the singers, but 3.5 hours of being impressed with vocal ranges is a bit much.